Good evening. This is the Walpole Conservation Commission meeting Wednesday of June 26th. And sorry for the little bit of delay due to the weather. We are now starting. And our first hearing This is it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Public hearing, Town of Walpole Conservation Commission, notice of intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, notice hereby given the intent of Jeffrey Engler, KIG/Silverstrand, Walpole LLC, to construct at 981, 989, and 1015 East Street, Walpole, Mass., map 25, lot 164, 165, 166, a multi-use building with residential and commercial, including parking, driveway, stormwater management, and utilities within a portion of the 200-foot riverfront area of the Neponset River. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person June 26, 2024, beginning at 7 p.m. All interested persons requested to be present. You can't hear me, it's because of the rain.
It's really crazy.
Oh, here's a big one. Representing the applicant,
For the record, Eric DeBrule with Bowler Engineering. I have some additional handouts to follow along with the boards if I'm permitted to hand those out, if that works.
Okay.
Thank you. In case you're interested. Cool. All right, again, Eric DeBrule with Bowler Engineering. The project before you tonight is obviously the 1015 East Main Street. Just for some brief history, the project has been through a couple of years of permitting. This is a friendly 40B that's been granted through the state. We then submitted with the zoning board, did other permitting, and recently was approved for the comprehensive permit that's associated with the 40B project. So the local permitting through that project is complete. Our final step for entitlements and permitting would be through the Conservation Commission, and then the final step would be building permitting. So that's the history and where we are today with the project. The existing site on the first page in this aerial is made up of several properties. It's the Gilmore property with two additional residential properties, and that's made up by the area bounded in yellow on the plan. It's about a little less than 2 acres in total, bounded by the Massachusetts Bay Transit property to the north and the west, and the train tracks that you see run through, a retail property off to the east, and then East Street to the south of the property. Under existing conditions, again, there's several warehouses, retail buildings, residential buildings, pavement. All of that will be removed as part of this project. And the site topography is relatively flat today, and we're actually in a little bit of a bowl, if you will. The property drains in on itself before it then outlets to what the resource area is, the Spring Brook, to the northeast, if you will. And the resource area in question is the Spring Brook. The Spring Brook is culverted to a point where it outlets or daylights at the top of the page, and that's where the riverfront area begins. And so that first handout shows in green where essentially the riverfront area starts perpendicular to the culvert. So the culvert runs through, it daylights in this location, and that riverfront area comes out in a straight line until you hit your 200-foot and your 100-foot. So the riverfront area of the property is essentially in this location, and then the line in blue is a 100-foot buffer from the inland bank, also a jurisdictional resource area. The plans that we submitted didn't properly show that resource area, the riverfront area. We got a comment from DEP suggesting that we weren't supposed to show it circling. So we need to make a revision to show the correct riverfront area, but this is depicting what that area is. I just wanted to let you know we do need to work through some DEP comments that we received last week, but wanted to come before you tonight to present. The Springbrook, again, is perennial. That creates the riverfront area, which is the jurisdictional area. The edge of the bank is actually a concrete wall. This is a continuation of the culvert itself. That next page is a little bit more of a zoomed-in area of it, but effectively, this is the edge of the stream, if you will, and that stream is made up of an open box culvert, so about a 10-foot concrete wall, concrete bottom, and the site, again, is lower, so that river is actually, the river edge is actually up gradient of our site, so we're lower than the river technically, based on grade. The next sheet that I provided was a photo, just looking through the opposite end of the property to just show you the stream itself. That photo is looking this way at the wall. And just again, give you the idea of what that stream is. Again, concrete culvert, that concrete wall makes that edge of that, the line, and then continues the 100-foot and 200-foot area. So that's a little bit of context. We did have a wetland consultant walk the site, delineate it, and provide a report, which we provided with the notice of intent. There's no estimated habitat, rare wildlife, no vernal pools, ACECs, anything found to be beneficial to the resource area in that respect. And there is a floodplain associated with the river, but it's all contained within the culvert. So just pointing that out, it does technically abut the property, but we aren't disturbing anything in the flood zone itself. So moving to the proposed project, now that we know a little bit about the existing conditions. Just provided the color rendering in your handout. I can definitely get into the technical drawings and details. But sometimes it's better to look at pictures while I kind of describe it, but effectively, what's being proposed, the use is a residential apartment building, 148 units, about 6 stories, and about 25,000 square feet. Obviously, all the associated amenities with it, the parking, stormwater, all of those things that would go along with a site plan like this. The stormwater system, it's notable that through the 40B process, it was peer-reviewed by multiple third-party engineers. Tetra Tech, reviewed most of the civil components in the stormwater. So we've responded to all their comments, revised, resubmitted, and the plans that you see before you is the final and approved plans through the comprehensive permit. So the stormwater is very closely looked at, but the high points of the stormwater system itself, we're significantly decreasing the stormwater runoff rates and increasing the infiltration through this property, through this project. Under existing conditions, the stormwater is collected through a catch basin and just outlets directly to the brook. There's no infiltration. It goes untreated. Under proposed conditions, typical stormwater catch basins with deep sump hoods. Prior to infiltration, we have 4 oversized infiltration units throughout the property. So we're exceeding the town's requirement for the 1-inch water quality volume and significantly going above and beyond what's needed just from the state standards relative to infiltration and naturally meeting all of the stormwater quality requirements from the state's perspective. That's really the high level. Obviously, we're coming in under redevelopment regulations under the riverfront area. So there are certain requirements that we need to meet. We failed to provide that in the notice of intent, so that was part of what DEP and land has commented on, was to provide that in the narrative. So that's going to be part of our response to comments. But those requirements is effectively, we can go through each one. I don't know if you want me to go into detail, but overall, from our perspective on this redevelopment, the entirety of the riverfront area was previously disturbed or is currently degraded. The site's been around, I think, since the early 1900s, and sometime in the 1960s, I believe the culvert was put in. And as part of getting that built, that most of that area was either filled to build up that wall and come in. The only part that's really unpaved would be probably fill in that area from back then. It's our conclusion that it's fully degraded in the riverfront. We are providing an increase in pervious area, though it be only a couple hundred square feet. We are providing an additional couple hundred square feet of green space within the 100 to 0 foot of the resource area. And we need to update our calculations because, again, we provided the full, we believe the riverfront area to have been circled around. So all of our calculations and reports were assuming this was the entirety of the riverfront. We need to update our calculations to reflect this, but what it will show you and what we'll conclude is that there's a slight increase in green space as part of the project. I'm sure I missed something, but I've been talking for long enough, so I'll turn it back to the chair and any questions we have.
Okay, did we have anything else here? Do we, comments from any of the boards?
No, we don't have any comments yet.
Okay, we're expecting some?
I'm sure Carl will submit something. I did include in the file the Tetra Tech review letters. I've reviewed them myself, and they did review the stormwater, the infiltration units, the water quality inlet. And so I don't think it's necessary for the commission to peer review it or anything like that, because it's already been peer reviewed by Tetra Tech. So we can just get a letter from Carl. I would like them to address all the sections in 10.585, which is redevelopment of previously developed area, which they know they need to do. That was really my main comments. I included DEP's comment in my report. Yeah, so your numbers will change. I was a little confused because your riverfront area on site was 23,742, but your total site was 22,900, but your alteration was 23,742. So that I was a little confused with that.
Yeah, I didn't, once we also got the comments of the riverfront area changing, I didn't look further into that because I knew it was going to change
so
again. But I'll take that into consideration when we relook, yeah.
What's going, how much the 100-foot you're working in, how much the 200-foot, and I'm sure the commissioners will also chime up on this, but I think what everyone always looks for is an improvement to the riverfront over and beyond the stormwater management system. So I'll let you guys speak.
Okay. Doug?
Did you say there's 5 or 6 infiltration basins?
I believe there's 4 total.
Oh, 4.
Yep.
Would you mind showing them on there? I'm having a little trouble reading this on my copy.
Flip to sheet C401. I don't know if you have plans in front of you, but.
Yeah, it is.
There's the large size plans also, I think.
Oh,
And
okay. Well,
I anticipated the comment, so I added in yellow, I highlighted where those systems are on the site.
and I see 12-inch PVC, high-density polyethylene piping. Does that connect the infiltration basins to each other? Or?
Connecting. I don't know if I fully understand the comment, but each of the stormwater basins will pick up certain areas of the property. So if we just, for instance, start on this one, I would collect the front and infiltrate in on itself. Some of these are interconnected, and ultimately, if it overflowed beyond the 100-year storm, there's an existing piped connection out to the Spring Brook. It would overflow through that existing pipe.
And then snow removal, where would that be stored?
So currently, this came up as part of the zoning board process, and I think what was agreed upon was that there is a snow management plan but it's a narrative, and I believe it's, if it's, or so many inches, or after so long, 24 hours, it needs to be removed from the site, is my recollection, but I can come back with that information.
The truck it away.
Yeah, if it gets to a point where it's in parking spaces or any, I can come back with that plan. I don't want to speak out of turn, but there is a plan in place.
Okay.
Media?
Drainage right now on the site, you said just that it kind of is on site right now? Still water?
Existing wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, existing, most of the site drains in. There's a couple of catch basins that eventually. Most of the property kind of drains in. It's pretty much a bowl down to this point, and then there's an existing pipe connection from the catch basin out to the spring brook.
Okay.
Turn this upside down on you to make it more challenging.
So it's untreated, it just goes right to,
Yep.
but the revised, your plan, the new plan would be that it's caught on site and treated?
Fully captured on site. A significant amount of that will be infiltrated up to the 100-year storm, so we're oversized to just make sure we can infiltrate as much as possible. If anything beyond the 100-year storm would then make its way out to the brook, but by that point, it's been treated, it's been either infiltrated, it's just overflow.
That's obviously an improvement of an existing condition, so that's.
Very, very much so.
Okay, all right. That's all I've got.
Al?
Well, for starters, I'd like to know how far away from this property marked in yellow, the Neponset River where it crosses East Street. How far away is that?
I don't know that answer.
Because that's where the Neponset River is, crosses East Street. And I want to know how far that is. Second thing is,
So Al, if I could just interject, so your botanist report from Goddard shows both Springbrook and Neponset mean high annual? So I guess it's kind of an assumption because there's nowhere that shows that it's over 200 feet.
I understand now.
So maybe just document that is over 200 feet, so the commission knows.
Perfect, yep,
Unless it
I appreciate that, yep, that makes sense, perfect.
Sorry, Al. Go ahead.
thanks. Second thing is, mention of Springbrook in concrete walls. Well, you don't mention that Springbrook has the banking is made up of, I think they call gabions, which are metal baskets filled with stones to hold the bank in place. That's a big difference from those to concrete walls. And third thing on my mind, you have two houses that you're going to include their property, and I agree with that. Don't have a problem. The only thing is, you don't mention anywhere that those two properties flood, and the intersection of Main Street and East Street has flooded in the past, so that you're looking at this project as if it's all completely high and dry, and I don't have any idea how much of the Gilmore property has flooded in the past, but I'm sure it has. So I think we need to know a little bit about flood management here. And I want to make sure that the water that's leaving this site in these big storms, like tonight, for example, isn't carrying away a lot of silt and dirt into the site. Then, as my understanding is, when you're doing a redevelopment project, there are a bunch of specifications, and one of them is you have to show improvement over existing conditions. So I don't call asphalt pavement improvement over gravel. Gravel infiltrates some of the rain into the ground. So I want to make sure that you're showing us improvement to meet that specification under redevelopment. And I'm not against this project. I just want to make sure that we don't end up with a place that floods occasionally. And with climate changing the way it is, I want to make sure that you consider the fact that this is a place that has flooded in the past, and you don't mention that. So that's my comments for tonight. And when we know more about this project, I may have some other comments. Thank you.
Would you like me to respond to any of those, or do you look?
Sure.
Yeah, so your concern or your comment about the flood management in terms of the location of the two houses, so those aren't in the flood zone, so that's separate, but it may flood at certain times because it's a bowl. It doesn't have anywhere to sheet off of the property. But the proposed project, we've sized the stormwater basins on site way above and beyond what's required by the state in terms of how much we're retaining and putting into the ground and reducing the rates from pre to post. So post-development, it will be significantly better than what's happening today, which is there's nowhere for the water to go, so it floods, or it goes directly out untreated to the brook and is, to your point, carries the sedimentation with it. In the proposed project, we're meeting or exceeding the treatment requirements for the stormwater. So both of those points have been well documented in the drainage reports and the peer review from Tetra Tech. Happy to provide, or actually that probably was provided part of the notice of intent application and narratives. The point about showing the improvements over the existing conditions, that was omitted from the report, and that was part of the DEP comments, and Landis picked that up as well. So we will provide those narratives and resubmit, can come back with that.
That's all for tonight.
Does that spring brook back up when we get high water into Neponset?
The Springbrook. So there is a floodplain, a 100-year flood line associated with it, so it does fill up. I don't know what, beyond what's on our site, if it backs up to, I'm not sure how to answer your question.
What's your elevation? Have you got something that shows the elevation just between that? You got well, the Springbrook comes out with a head wall and then goes into the Neponset, right?
Yeah, so the grading plan has all the elevations on it.
What sheet are you looking at?
We're gonna go to sheet C301.
301?
So 501, sorry.
501.
Oh, no, it's not. Sheet 401.
401?
Sorry.
Okay. So you got, those are wetland flags. We got an elevation there.
Yeah, so the top of wall is about 130. It was 139, the top of wall.
Where is,
Our site sits at 137.
where does it show that? What the, where am
See
I?
that little triangle
The
that
contours.
sticks out?
I see the 140 contour. Where's your top of wall? Yeah.
top of wall and the culvert.
All right, what sheet is that?
This is the existing condition plan that would be at the very back. This is by other plan, that would be the very last sheet. Top of wall variance between 139 and 142.
Details on the last sheet,
So it's the existing conditions?
703.
I thought existing conditions was one of the first sheets.
What is this sheet? Lighting.
Maybe it's bounced separately? That's right, this sheet.
Oh, we gotta look at that.
Oh, it's one of the.
Yeah, sorry, it's
separate
bounced
folders.
separately.
Oh, okay.
It is,
Okay.
Existing conditions, is that what we want?
Yeah.
So, which is which?
So top of wall 141.98, bottom of wall 141.52.
Okay.
At the head wall.
and the head wall. Okay,
It's in the
your
small, it's in the
culvert's
detail.
135.
There's this detail.
Oh, I'm just wondering, is there, it seems to me that that area can back up if we get really heavy rain between what's flowing down the Ponset, because that parking lot on the other side of the railroad
Into the CVS
tracks.
parking lot. Oh, on the.
On the MBTA
Yeah.
parking lot, that does get
On
flooded.
the other side of the railroad.
On the
I
other,
don't
on the
know
other
what
property.
Elevations differences are.
That's what I remember, that there'd be more issues on the other side of the railroad tracks where the
Where it
MBTA
backs
is
up.
and where the detention basin is for the MBTA
Yeah.
parking lot.
But that water backs up, I believe, to causes backup in Springbrook.
I thought it was kind of pushed out towards
But
Elm Street.
I don't know how far, if it comes back towards this property enough. That's my question, is how much, you look, your aerials across the street, you see the parking lot across the railroad track?
Yep.
And that can, I don't know how much water gets in there, but it can, parts of that parking lot can get wet, can get underwater. So where are we relative, elevation-wise, Springbrook relative to what's on the other side of the railroad tracks?
I don't have that information. It's off
Because that-
property, but I would say,
And it's an issue with, when heavy rains, and the Ponset fills up, or gets high water, that it causes
that
some
property flood.
backup between the Neponset and the Springbrook in that area. So I would assume if it hits, floods this area, it's also
Yeah,
gonna come
I
back
don't-
here.
I don't remember it flooding this
I
area.
don't know if there's been any, in
If
here.
anything, I think it would be the CVS parking lot rather.
I don't recall that being a problem, but,
Neither.
anyhow, okay, it just, just at this point, maybe something to look at as to what, particularly with the severe storm what would, the potential for, you say a 100-year storm you're going to take care of on site.
Yes, yep,
Above that, it's gonna flow into Spring Brook,
correct.
which if we get to that point, Spring Brook could be kind of flowing full at that point, as
Yeah, it would.
would be to Neponset.
Yep, I would imagine it would be, so that's why we sized the infiltration systems to hold back that size of a storm. Typically, we would never size that basin that large, but we have similar concerns and we don't want it to
Okay.
back up in the site, so we've,
And now, where is this basin?
there's four basins throughout the property.
There's
That goes
subsurface.
back to sheet C.
The subsurface?
Yeah, what he was showing.
Okay. Yeah, I see.
So everything in yellow is an underground basin.
Those are under, okay.
Correct. So if it did flood, it would make it into the catch basins and into there.
Okay. All right.
Anything beyond the 100-year storm would be catastrophic, and everyone's underwater at that point.
Okay.
So Jack, can I just
Yeah.
make a remark as far as what Al's saying as far as the improvement to the riverfront area, that it may be an improvement if you move one of your landscape areas or more landscaping closer to the river. So this little triangle that's closest to the river that's on your property, what is that gonna be?
Is that?
You have a triangular piece that kind of sticks out at the end of the property. At the end of the parking lot, you have two trees, and then there's beyond the pavement, there's just a triangle, pointy area of the property. So here, you have the end of your parking lot, and then there's this, and the river is here. So what is this gonna be? So it could be that you put another couple of trees there, some more shrubs, or some kind of enhancement to the riverfront area closest to the river.
I think that's a great idea. Right now, we're not proposing to do anything, but, I don't have a better photo than this, but essentially what's in here right now, again, is what I believe was, when they came and built the culvert, they backfilled. So I think this is fill material, and over the course of 50 years plus, just it revegetated through that material. The wetland report calls out some invasive, I think invasive species and some non-invasives, but the client would definitely be willing to go clean that area up.
So an invasive species removal is always a good thing along the river.
Yep.
And to do some more plantings close, at your end of your parking lot, maybe within that triangle, would be a benefit to the river. Do you think so, Al? Al, to do more planting closer to the river, at the end of their parking area?
You see where it is, Al? Where the land is going, yeah, yeah, this triangle's
Yeah.
right there, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that would be beneficial to have that, well, more vegetate with, instead of whatever's there. Some of it may be invasive, that you put in something more appropriate.
Yep, they would definitely be amenable to that. Be happy to do that.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Landis? Right now? Okay. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments? Please identify yourself for the record. You have to come up to the microphone, please. The microphone, you just take, oh, okay.
Thank you, friend, sir.
Just identify yourself for the record.
Certainly. Good evening. I'm Helen Abdella Donnie. I don't think it's on. Is it on?
Yeah, it's just to broadcast to the people who are looking. It doesn't broadcast to us louder.
Thank you. I am Helen Abdella Donahue from Norwood. My sister Olga Abdella and I own the property. My family's owned the property at the corner of East Street and Main Street for more than, probably about 90 years. And so I have some basic questions. And sir, I'm new to this project. And is the C401, is that the plan of record? The one that you have at the end of this package?
Yes.
You would say that's the plan of record. So the project itself, how many square feet of land is on the entire project?
Through the chair, do you want me to
Yeah,
answer
go-
directly?
yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So the overall property is 1.9 acres.
1.9 acres, so that's less than 80,000 square feet. So how many units of housing do you propose for the project?
I believe it was 162. Let me just get to the actual.
And how many parking spaces do you have?
148 units.
Okay, 148 units, 1.9 acres, and how many parking spaces do you have?
This proposes 171.
And are they all at ground level?
There are 59 of those are garage under parking.
How many stories do you go under the ground?
I believe 1 story.
Okay, and how many entrances do you have to the project?
You're really quizzing me. There's 2 site driveways. Well, there's four driveways. There's 2 that entered through and get to the rear of the property, and then there's a turnaround effectively in the middle of the building. And then each one of those.
Thank you. And is the railroad station still open? Does the train stop there?
I believe down,
It stops
Believe
in
it-
Walpole.
Right, in Walpole Center, heading toward Route 27. The train station, it still is there. Okay, and Spring Brook, it appears that it's mostly underground?
until open, yeah, until it daylights at this property.
And does it flow into the Neponset River?
Yes.
Yes.
It flows into the Neponset River. So I'm unknowing, so where would it enter the Neponset River?
On the other side of the railroad.
On where the
Where
Veterans
the
Post
MBT
is?
parking lot is, street.
I think so. So it flows from Main Street, it flows that way?
It's piped under.
From out here.
I know
right out
that.
Here, and under, and it comes out where he just showed.
I-
And goes into the Ponce River.
Right, I got the idea that it was underground, but I didn't know where it actually flowed into the river, you know? But it's on the other side of, so it flows underneath the railroad tracks. It flows underneath the railroad tracks. All righty, and so on this plan of record, the red line, that's the area from, what does that designate?
So you're looking at the last page of the handout.
Yes, please.
The red line is the riverfront area, so that's the resource area. So that line extends from the culvert, perpendicular from the culvert out 200 feet. And then anything within that 200 feet is part of that resource area.
And that, is the line where the blue line, is that more, it's supposed to be protected more in that area?
That blue line is a 100-foot buffer from the inland bank. So it's I think it's different than the riverfront, but it's also a jurisdictional buffer.
So on this plan, where is the underground Spring Brook designated, please?
Off property. It goes underground here, and then daylight's here. And then this is open, and that's what creates our riverfront area.
So this plan of record doesn't have to show where it flows?
Where it flows, no, I think I think it was looked at a lot more closely through the zoning board process, where it got peer reviewed by the third-party engineer of the hydrology and everything, you know, to make sure engineeringly it worked. This, we're just looking at the resource area and the habitat. So
It doesn't have to show off-site, so Springbrook is right out here, and at the end of the fields, it goes into the culvert, and then goes under and pops up near the CVS, which is at the corner of his property. So they are showing that part. But since they're not doing anything off that property, they don't have to show the rest.
It would seem, though, that it would be a better plan if it showed the protected area, you know, even,
It shows what it needs, the plan shows what it needs to, for the commission to look at the development.
but the question that Mr. Getz raised was very important. Very, very important, you know, about the effect of the flow and all that. So it's, we had an experience in Norwood about where the new space center is, where Bird and Son used to be. And the people that presented the project, were you there for that, Mr. Getz, or was that after you? The Space Center project?
No, that was during my time.
So they seem to tell us a lot more about along the river, you know? But each project is different, I understand that. So I think that that's all that I have for questions, and I appreciate your help in understanding them, and it's nice to be able to understand them. Thank you for your help.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. See, you need to do some revisions.
Jack,
Yeah.
I do have a question. I think I heard you say there's underground parking in this facility?
yes.
And the elevation at the lowest point of that underground parking, how does that compare to, like, the catch basins and infiltration basins? Is it lower than they are?
Yes. Yep.
So does it have sump pumps to pump water out?
So the basement level would be required to have oil-water separators and some sort of sump should there be, you know, spills or if there
Water
was.
infiltration?
Exactly.
And where do they discharge, those pumps?
I believe that would be required to go into the sewer. I don't believe that would be allowed to go into the drainage.
So the storm sewer,
Sanitary,
sanitary?
I believe so. And again, we wouldn't envision any flows from the site to get into the garage. That would be really bad. But in the case that there's any, you know, anything that needed to be removed, it would have to be treated and then.
Well, the ramp going down into the garage must have a grate to catch the water,
Right.
and that's gonna be,
So that would be at a higher point in the property, and we'd grade away from that garage entrance down to a catch basin away from it. So that would be at a high point on the site to begin with. And then up to the 100-year storm would actually get captured in the underground basins. Anything above that has potential to get up and go into the garage, at which point we'd have some sort of mechanism that could raise in those types of storms so that didn't happen. But yeah, you would be talking about a very significant storm at that point.
okay.
So the foundation drains are connected to the municipal system, not your,
Exterior foundation drains?
Yeah.
Those haven't been designed. I don't know if we'll need them or not based on groundwater elevations.
so it says a portion of the building will be located below the 2-foot high groundwater.
Yeah, your local regulations require separation
Yeah,
from, I think there's two of them, 2 feet from groundwater and 4 feet. So what we're saying is we're within the 2 feet, not necessarily that we're in groundwater, that we're getting close to.
so you don't have foundation drains designed into the
Not currently. The next step would be for the architect to develop their MEP plans and get structurals involved and start to look at that level of detail.
Well, we might want to know where that water is going. I think we would want to know where that water is going. We've had experience in other locations in the town where we've had
Okay.
issues where they weren't functioning properly, and that was a problem
Sure.
because they were crushed during construction. So, yeah, probably be something that would be, the commission should know where a foundation drain is.
Yeah, we can provide that detail. Yep.
I'm surprised Tetra Tech didn't ask you that one.
How much time do you need to get information together? Our next meeting is July 10th. And
Yeah,
the
and longer, yeah.
meeting after that would be August
14th.
14th.
Is there 2 meetings in August?
One.
One. And then
One in July and one in August.
is September scheduled at this point?
September would be the second Wednesday, which would be we'll get there eventually. September 11th. So you want to do this till September 11th?
The August meeting will work just fine, actually. I'm sorry.
That's August.
August 14th. We don't have anything scheduled yet for August 14th.
Okay, so August 14th, so someone make a motion. Continue the hearing to August 14th at 7 PM.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
400.
And just one of your details also, on your detail sheets, the something valve, reference Maynard.
Okay, thank you.
Just like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You want the elastic band?
Let's keep what was in the file.
This was in there, I think.
Okay, yeah.
This is all the file. You want it
What'd you do with this?
band
Yeah,
on?
Yeah,
whatever.
separate? I just will add that in there when.
You can just, here, I'll give you this, you give me this, I'll take care of this. Okay, thank you.
Is this part of it? Yes, it is.
Conservation Commission, Stormwater Bylaw Land Disturbance Permit. In accordance with Walpole Stormwater Management Bylaw, is hereby given the intent of GW Hilltop LLC to construct at 2216 Boston Providence Turnpike Route 1, Walpole, Mass, map 53, lot 31, a 28,580 square foot car barn associated with over 40,000 square feet of disturbance. The application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/conservationcommission. Public hearing in the above matter will be held in person, June 12th, 2024, beginning 7:10 PM. All interested persons request to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. Representing the applicant,
Chris Cabral from Crossman Engineering.
okay?
Oh, sorry. We were here 2 weeks ago for the prior hearing, and at that time, one of the more important pieces of information we'd yet to receive were Carl's peer review comments. We have still yet to get his official letter, but Landis and I met with him the Monday following our last hearing. He gave mostly compliments, but his biggest item of concern was in regards to the fire lane that circulates the rear of the building. From the entrance from Route 1 all all the way to the southeastern corner of the site. It's gonna be two-way traffic with access to the parking spaces and the garage bays, but along the rear, it's gonna be single-lane traffic. We have signage and striping showing that. Previously, in our original submission, in an attempt to reduce the amount of impervious we were generating on site, we had the fire truck movement plans, and we got to work with a 12-foot wide fire lane along the back. And that was at its narrowest. So what we ended up doing was expanding that to 20 feet. We updated our fire truck turning template to provide an additional buffer and movement widths adjacent to the fire truck turn. And fortunately, when we reran the calculations and the analysis, we were able to conclude that the added impervious from widening the fire lane did not generate an impact to the pond's capacity. At the time of the original design, prior to adding that additional pervious, we still had almost 10,000 cubic feet of excess storage during the 100-year storm event. And so by adding that, or widening that fire lane, it generated about an additional 1,700 square feet of pavement along the south and southeast corners of the site, the rear. And there was still adequate separation prior to the 100-year peak ponding elevation even reaching the spillway, leaving the site. At the last hearing, too, there were also a few other questions and comments about the plantings. I spoke with our landscape architect, and she assured me that what she proposed is drought-resistant. Also very hardy plants to resist the colder temperature times of the season, or the year. Let's see, what else? One comment that unintentionally did not get included in the revised plan set was a detail of the wall, but verbally, the applicant's committed to putting in an Allen block wall. There's definitely not going to be any riprap slope going up from the east side of the property. I'll be over in this direction here where we're going to be doing our more significant cuts. I think it's about a 7-foot cut at its peak, where we are closest to Hilltop. We're going to be putting in an Allen block wall all along the rear here. And then on the rear of the site, we have a swale and alignment with riprap to minimize the likelihood of erosion. So that swale within the sediment floor being the pond floor itself, that's the only location we should see riprap on site, and besides the emergency spillway. So on the back of a nice landscape wall, we have elaborate planting plan that's going to fully cover that side of the site adjacent to the retaining wall with trees, shrubs, and I think that's everything that's changed. That's relatively noteworthy since our last hearing. Does the commission have any?
Okay, Landis?
Yeah, so I'll just confirm that Carl, I, and Chris all met together and went over the plan. And one of the issues that the town engineer just wanted to make sure was covered is that the infiltration basin and swale was large enough to take the additional existing flow from the 30-inch pipe, I think was, and that it wasn't, it was gonna be coming in slow enough that it wasn't gonna cause an issue to that swale. So I think we're both satisfied that that was being met by the calculations and that the infiltration basin and the swale would take the flow. There was a little discussion of perhaps seeing if you could, and I just remember this myself, locate another infiltration, subsurface infiltration system to put some of the water in the more water in the ground, but it seemed like it was kind of tight with your septic field and everything that didn't.
Yeah, maybe I'll flip to the utility plan just to highlight it. Along,
What sheet are you looking at?
this is the utility drawing, so this will be the sheet after the grade and drainage.
C7?
It's along the western corner of the site where we have our area that allocated to our proposed leach fields, the reserve area, and the septic tank. And along this portion of the site where the bulk of our utility corridor is where we'll be doing the more significant cutting. And so because we were able to demonstrate that we were able to retain everything on site from the proposed impervious and capture everything upstream off-site solely within this area here, we wanted to avoid the added cost of putting in an underground system elsewhere, really. During the original design of the project, the project was kicked off almost a year ago, and one of the issues we had was how can we reduce construction costs to make it feasible to the applicant? And we had initially had a much larger building and a much larger impervious footprint. And in order to mitigate stormwater effectively, we had to include an underground system in addition to the stormwater pond. And so after many iterations of shrinking the building, reducing the impervious, we came up with this concept, and it worked. And so that's why we're presenting that today.
Okay.
So I, based on the conversation with Carl and Chris, I felt like we really went over pretty much everything that was necessary. And then he had to do some slight redesigning because of the fire road, but it didn't really impact his stormwater design that much. And I think Carl just went on vacation this week, so he was probably just running around doing everything before leaving. He did indicate he was happy with the system, so I told Chris, why don't you come back and we'll go to closing the hearing and having the commission render a decision rather than continuing it again, because I don't think it's necessary. Still has to go to site plan review with the planning board, so if there's anything that needs to be tweaked and he has to come back, he can just do a revision to us.
Okay. Doug, any questions or comments?
I think I got this figured out. The septic tank is below pavement, but
Yes,
the leaching field is not.
correct. The proposed leaching field location is going to be in an area that's just flat grass.
Yeah.
And we will have to submit an application to the Board of Health for the permitting of that.
Yeah, that was the only thing I had.
Media? Al? I see you have the septic system is, you can't connect to the sewer?
So there is sewer not available, but there's sewer adjacent to the site. At the northeast corner of the site, there's the intersection of Hilltop and Sunset, but the sewer system is actually a private system. So we don't have the right to connect into it. The applicant reached out to the owner at the Preserve Park, and they didn't even want to have a conversation about it with us. So here we are with the septic system, which is a lot more expensive to construct and maintain than a grinder pump and a 2-inch sewer force main going like 50 feet to the sewer right there.
I think where the town sewer line is near there.
I think the town sewer is at the next intersection further up Route 1. So the Preserve Park has its own, I think they have 1 or 2 of their own private sewer pump stations. So what we would pump to our site would then go into their pump station, and I think they just didn't want to entertain that at all. I'm sure the applicant was willing to pay to make that connection, but
Okay,
it was out of our control, unfortunately.
okay. Good. Anyone in the audience have any questions or comments, please identify yourself for the record.
Jack,
Yeah.
what is a private sewer system?
I believe that probably is collected and then pumped into the town system.
So it's all retained within private property. So the system itself exists solely on private property until it's pumped into the town's right of way. So this is actually all private property down here. So that even Hilltop Road's a private road. They operate it, own it, maintain it, and we just don't have the right to connect to it without their authorization.
Well, they pump into the town
So it
system,
moves it.
but
Yeah.
Doesn't treat it, just moves it.
Yeah, but it goes into the town sewer system.
Yeah, like several hundred feet
I think it's
further away from us.
probably
It's,
on Pine Street, probably. There's a pump station over on Pine Street, I think.
There is, but I think that's part of the
Yeah.
Ganawati Farm subdivision too.
Right.
I don't think that's public, I think it's.
Well, I think it all
Part of
ties into the town system.
Yeah,
Town's collection system, yeah.
I just never heard of a private sewer system.
Well, it's private within the
Within the-
preserve
Okay,
property.
okay.
Okay. No one-
Jack, I got
Yeah,
another
go
question.
ahead.
So I see the 1,500-gallon septic tank on the north side,
oh, this one right here?
on the north side. Yeah, well, I'm getting to the one on the east side that there's the 1,000-gallon holding tank for floor drains
Yes.
on the east side, and it says it has no outlet.
Yes.
What happens to the water that flows in there?
So the building will have floor drains in it for when cars come in and out with snow melt. They'll be doing like light hands cleaning, probably like a slop sink, a rag, and some residential grade, like polishing wax. So any water that drains off the car while it's inside of the facility, it will be able to drain into the floor drains, and it'll then, by gravity, fall into the holding tank, which is essentially just like a tight tank. And then once the water level in the tank reaches a certain elevation, an alarm system will go off and notify the owner or the operations manager that the tank needs to be pumped. So a company would come pump it. And it's really just snow melt, water, miscellaneous. You pull into your own garage, the snow melt comes off, that kind of low volume amount of water that would enter the tank.
And so it vents to the ridge line. So if they fail to pump it in time, I assume the water would come out the vent?
Oh, so the vent will go to the roof line, but that's not like a tank that's really gonna be getting any flow from any toilets, sinks, or anything like that. It's a very,
Just washing vehicles?
yeah, it's like a plumbing code thing if you have floor drains and don't have access to tie into the sewer. So that's why we unfortunately have to tie that in. We actually did the design and permitting of the project to the other side of Hilltop, Dry-X, and they similarly have that same sort of configuration with the sinks and toilets connecting to the septic system, but they have floor drains, but that have to go into a tight tank. And so across the street, very similar, identical situation.
Okay.
Okay. Someone make a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
400. Standard
Yeah, the only,
conditions.
yeah, I would just add, to, receive the detail of the, wall
Mhm.
and the approval of the, septic system anywhere.
Yes.
Okay, so, someone want to make that a motion as noted?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
400.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
This is related to this. Thank you, sir.
Warwick is the point.
Where do we go?
This is his.
Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission Notice of Intent. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act, Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent of Wall Street Development to construct an extension of Warwick Road, including an 8x4 culvert stream crossing within the town's right-of-way with associated water and sewer utility line infrastructure. Stormwater drainage basins and roadway located on portions of 315 and 319 Summer Street, Walpole, Mass., map 56, lot 89 and 90. Application and plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing on the above matter will be held in person, May 22nd, 2024, beginning 7:20 PM. All interested person requested to be present. Hearing's been opened and continued. This is a letter from Mr. Lupatrosi, reference Warwick Road Conservation hearing. Unfortunately, the project engineer has not been able to revise the plans to include the additional information requested by the commission. Therefore, it would be requested the public hearing on this notice of intent be continued to the next scheduled meeting in July. Our next hearing, meeting is July 10th. What do we got on?
So if you look at my report, let's see, oh, I missed the time.
Let's see. Requested continuance to July 10th. What do we got down here? Next meeting, July 10th.
Yep, I seem to have forgot to put the scheduled hearings. Could you put the scheduled hearings?
Is this what she's looking
Are you scheduled for anything on July 10th here?
That's continued.
Yeah. Do you have anything scheduled for July 10th?
No.
No. Okay. All right. I just wondered if you maybe had something already on.
No, I meant to put it on the agenda or in my report, and apparently I forgot. So we have a couple things scheduled already, so we have,
Okay, so let's make it at 7:19, so we don't conflict if we have a 7:20.
yeah, the high school I know is coming, and I know that, yeah, 7:20, say 7:20, you'll be fine.
7:20, we don't make it an odd number. So we don't
Okay,
have
make
two
it an
things.
odd number.
7:21.
Okay.
So we'll reschedule this to 7:21 on July 10th. Someone make that a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 4-0-0. So July, where are we? July 10th. 10th would be what? 7:21. Takes care of that one. What do we got next? Flip Lane. Town of Walpole, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Conservation Commission, Walpole Wetland Bylaw, Land Disturbance Permit in accordance with Walpole Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and Stormwater Management Bylaw. Notice hereby given the intent, Wall Street Development Corp. to construct 15 single-family condominiums altering over 40,000 square feet of land and work within the 100-foot buffer of wetlands and 200-foot riverfront area located at 7 Brook Lane, Walpole, Mass., map 20, lot 115, 119, 120, 137. Application of plans may be viewed at the Conservation Commission office or at www.walpole-ma.gov/Conservation Commission. Public hearing above matter will be held in person March 27, 2024, beginning at 7 PM. All interested persons requested to be present. And hearing's been opened and continued. So representing the applicant,
Mr. Chairman, Lou Petrosi for Wall Street Development Corp. As you may recall, we continued the meeting. I think we were at the stage of discussing the additional degraded riverfront area that was part of this application. And Commission was holding off their decision until they heard from DEP. That's, well, I'm stating it correctly. So
Thank you.
DEP has not made a decision. They've basically said, and I don't know if you've, Landis was copied on this email. I can read it into the record if you want.
The email I gave you, Jack.
We have received that email.
Excuse me?
We have received that.
Have not?
We have.
Oh, you have, okay. So basically, I think what the department is saying is that have the commission make the decision, and then they don't want us to go back for 2 amendments, in other words. So, I think the email speaks for itself, that they're looking for the commission to make their decision
Okay.
on the application, and then they would piggyback on top of whichever plan you folks
Okay,
approved.
okay. Landis?
I would interpret it slightly different, of course, that they were just sort of saying to you, maybe you want to wait because there's 2 different plans that you have going here, and if they make a decision on one, then you may have to come back with another one. I don't think they were predetermining their decision at all. That's
Well,
kind of
again, I tried to clarify it with them with a follow-up email, but I never received
I
a response.
agree, his description was a little confusing. So, I agree. So I think the commission, has a couple of things to determine tonight. One, if they agree with the proposed, addition to the degraded riverfront area that, you've set forward to them. And then if they agree with the plan as presented in the last revision, which is June 7th. So I went out there again today to look at the degraded riverfront area. Unfortunately, the way it occurred, when you and DEP met out there, I was not present because I did not know that was what was going to be looked at. That was sort of sprung at the last minute. So I was not able there to represent the commission to review it at the time that DEP reviewed it. We went out at a later date, and Mr. McManus was there, but things had really overgrown, and we had a little hard time finding the blue flags and really understanding where it was in relationship to the plan. So I went out there again today to try and get a better look, and I took some pictures and provided it to the commission. And I agree that it is the same material as the other degraded riverfront area that was previously determined. So that's what I've provided the information with the commission based on, there was sort of like a cut area now where you can see into that pile on the side, and you can see where it's the slag and the concrete and the brick that had previously been determined to be degraded riverfront area. So that's what I recommended to the commission. I still hold that the trees need to be planted in the 25-foot no alteration area and the restored riverfront area, the 2.5 caliber trees. I went out there today, and the shrubs are really small that were planted there, and the grass has almost overtaken a lot of them. They don't appear to be in the kind of clumps of 3 that are shown on the plan. I didn't go and count every single one of them, but I think if the commission approves, they should approve the plan as presented on the plan that you submitted, and that's how it should be planted, with the trees being 2.5 caliber trees, not the 1.5. My report, I just listed everything that's been submitted to this point, so we could clarify that. And So that's the riverfront area and the degraded riverfront area. As far as the stormwater management, I think that's been pretty well vetted through this process. And the last process, I don't think there was really any outstanding requirements for the stormwater management system. As far as the land disturbance permit, there's just some requirements for as-built plan and sediment management that I would recommend putting in the land disturbance permit. All I have.
Okay. Doug,
I don't have any questions right now.
Emilio?
No, I agree with Landis that the plantings need to be done according to the plans, and the trees need to be 2.5. So that's what we agreed on, and that's what we were expecting, so that's all I have.
Al?
When I look at these pictures, I don't think there's much question that it's degraded. It looks like whatever's growing there is having a hard time, especially around this red stake. It looks like those things sticking up are sort of struggling to stay alive, which maybe indicates that the soil is pretty poor and needs to have some attention to clean up there. All along, I've felt that a lot of this area was degraded, and these pictures pretty much prove it. That's all I have.
Okay. I don't see anyone. Would you like to comment, Mr. Petrosi?
Yeah, I just want to say that it's, you know, it's our full intention to plant what's on the plan. Due to the season of time of year that we were in, we wanted to get as much work done as we possibly can. I think as land has been out there, the grass is growing really very nicely. It actually needs to be mowed now, so we'll have a regular maintenance of cutting the grass every couple of weeks. Unfortunately, we've been getting these tremendous rainstorms every few days, so we haven't been able to get anybody out there. But yeah, we fully expect that there'll be additional plantings and other things that will be going on there as the project gets going. But we wanted to get as much work done as we could before we had that hot stretch of weather in the
So
spring.
Lou, just to clarify, if I could, you mean additional plantings, not just in the area that now is degraded riverfront area, but in the whole 25-foot strip?
Well, what we did, in the whole strip, what we did, we took the plants that were available to us at that time.
Okay.
So there may be things that will get supplemented, things may die or not survive, so we'll be supplementing that, and maybe there'll be bigger plants in the fall. I don't think we'll be doing anything during the summertime, but our intention would be, with the commission's decision, we would clean out the remaining area of the degraded and bring in the new soil that we've been doing and plant what we've got left there on the site. And then probably in the fall, we would put the 2.5-inch caliper trees in.
And any other additional shrubs
Right.
along the whole
Right.
25, can you say along the whole 25?
Yeah,
foot
well,
Around the whole
strip?
25,
I think,
according
you
to
know,
that plan.
There's 100, believe it or not, we planted 100, well, what's left is maybe about 30, but we bought 140-something plants. And even though I added one extra of each of the things because they were smaller.
Yeah, they
So,
are pretty small. I think that's why the
yeah.
grass is kind of overtaking them, and they might,
And he threw that, what do you call that? That wetland mix
Yeah.
thing down. And that must have just taken off in the last couple of weeks. But there's certainly gonna be some review of that before we get to the part where there's a certificate of compliance for sure. But most of it is gonna be growing while the project is being built, but.
so
Okay.
the trees should be put in as soon as possible. I mean, I would like to recommend to the commission that the trees be put in before your foundations be put in.
Well, I understand, but, you know, if we get another stretch of weather like we just had, like last week, or, you know, where we have 90-plus degrees, we have no ability to water it, so it's tough to maintain, so I'd appreciate it if we could set some sort of time in the fall when that could be done. We'll even put a few more in. I mean, it's really not about the trees, it's about making sure they survive. And it's tough to get water all the way down to the other end.
So you now agree that you can get the 2.5 caliber trees in there?
Well, I'm gonna try, so I'm not planting them. If I tell the guy that that's what the commission wants, he'll have to find a way to get them in there either.
I think you can figure it out. So can,
I think that the top of the berm is really, it's pretty solid, the top of the berm of the basin. So he may be able to, you know, with a small little track machine, just bucket them in there.
I think that's the idea with having that anyways. If you have to do some maintenance to the basin, at least you take a mini excavator through there.
I don't wanna spoil the grass, it'll look so nice there. But we will do it, once it's cut, it'll be nice.
So what, if I could, if I could ask, what is the plan now between the two permits that you have
Well,
working side by side?
once the appeal periods are up on everything, then we'll probably withdraw the 40B permit. And then won't really affect the commissions, because there'll be two orders of conditions, local and department. So those two will stay in place, but the comprehensive permit will go away.
So if that period takes longer than the fall or up into the fall, then you perhaps can plant the trees in the fall prior to your foundations if you don't know which 15 or 20 unit project you're putting in.
Well, no, we know it's gonna be 15 units. I
Well, you
mean,
still have to get approved by.
Well, just assume that
That's approved by ZBA.
it is approved. Everything is approved.
Doesn't it have another board it has to be approved by?
Well, site plan approval is really not an approval, it's just a review, and they had their meeting the other night, they closed their meeting, and so there's not really much to be done with that, but we're pretty confident that it's gonna be a 15-unit project, conventional project, and, the only thing that we're waiting for now is drainage structures, or else the road will be, you know, the road should be built within the next 60 days. And then, we'll be applying for permits or foundation permits or things like that, but
So you're saying you can move forward with the ZBA decision and the Concom decision and the SOC if they also need to approve your modification or request additional filing of a notice of intent. We don't know which they're gonna do yet. So you don't have to have the planning board decision?
We had one. They closed the hearing the other night.
Deny it?
Huh?
Didn't they deny
Well,
it?
I
No, they
don't wanna-
voted to approve. They just didn't vote for it, for the approval.
So is
They
there
had a motion to
an
approve.
appeal? So is there an appeal process for that?
There's no appeal process for a site plan.
yeah. But I don't wanna get into that, because that was
Well, why I ask is pertinent, it's just a timing questions.
we're
So,
from our perspective, we're building a 15-unit project, provided that nobody appeals the special permit.
and your schedule to build that is,
Now, like, well, we're building the road, and then once the road gets to a certain point, where there's either, it's up to the building inspector to either give us foundation permits or building permits, but certainly we can't get occupancy permits until there's pavement down. So I would prefer, if it was okay with the commission, that the trees be planted by a certain date in October or before any occupancy permits are issued. But I would think the fall would be a better time to plant these trees.
I agree with that time.
So, yeah.
I would say we want them before October, because we need time to make sure, give them time to take hold in the fall. I would say September, early September would be better, to give them more time. To wait till October, and then it's, you know, your growing season could be ending very quickly.
Yeah, well, we'll do it by, September 30th, we'll have them in, or September 15th.
I'd say I'd say mid-September would be
September
better.
15th. By September 15th, he said.
September 15th would be,
Yeah.
I think, just, so they're in, they have at least 6 weeks to get established, hopefully before, you know, well, it's still, quote, growing season. Which would be better if they get a chance to get going and, you know.
Absolutely, well, we want them to have the best
Okay.
chance.
All right, so, seeing no one from outside, that we will make a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 400. Okay, so we want the 2.5 caliber trees to be planted by September 15th. What else? And the plan shows that you're committed to what's shown on the plan for the
Right,
planting plan.
right.
So we don't have to really, other than that we want the trees. And you had a number in here,
I
Landis,
think
a
the
minimum.
The original was 7. Right, it was 7 red maples is in their planting.
Okay.
I was recommending also in your graded riverfront area restoration, that you also put in a couple trees.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Okay.
that's fine.
So, and plus,
We just need a finding that you agree that the additional degraded riverfront. So,
so we'd add the number of trees plus, want 2 more trees in that degraded riverfront area?
Yeah, the one behind unit, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Yep. And then, yeah, that area.
Right behind Unit 13.
Right.
Okay, and the other thing, you're removing trees that are either in the, could be potentially a problem later or are dead. And that,
Is,
those are in that area.
mark them, I mean,
For those that are removed, that you replace with some kind of greenery, shrubbery. None, you don't want another tree, because that's
I'm
gonna be,
open to suggestions, I mean,
I think a shrubbery, I don't know what
yeah.
is suitable in that area, but not something that's gonna grow up and be a problem.
I'm open to suggestions, whatever you wanna.
If you wanna make a suggestion, include it in the,
Sure.
of what, a selection of things to choose from
Right.
that are suitable for the area. I don't know how wet,
So, there is gonna be some landscaping throughout the whole project, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
but for those trees that you removed,
right.
then have a replacement of some shrubbery. And that, it doesn't make sense to put in another tree that's gonna grow up in 20 years, you're gonna have to take it down again.
Yeah.
If
I
it's-
agree,
if it's-
I agree.
Those
it's a
trees
problem.
were in the riverfront, the non-degraded riverfront area,
Yeah.
but on the border of it.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right. I don't know if you happen to look at it today when you were there, there's nothing, there's no tree above the tree. The canopy is gone, in other words. It's just a trunk with a bunch of vines growing around it, so it's really, looks like it was shot off. Those 3.
Honestly, that's habitat, but, so if that comes down, then we can provide a list that would
Right.
be
Absolutely.
beneficial to wildlife habitat, that it would be more of a shrub size.
And it might be, might not have to go exactly in the same location from where we took the trees. Maybe we could put them in the riverfront area that's more,
This was the
Well, it is, but
non-degraded
it's
riverfront
like-
area.
it's kind of like a riverfront that's like between a yard, the backyard of one of the houses, not our house.
Point on the plan that you have there where these trees
Yeah.
are located?
So the trees that we're talking about are in here.
Okay.
So what all I'm saying is that this is riverfront too, and it's in their backyard. So I was saying, if you wanna plant something, I would be planting it somewhere in here where it's gonna be undisturbed riverfront. Cause right in here, you're actually in somebody's backyard.
But that should be undisturbed riverfront area anyways.
If you go there now, you'll see these people have been dumping their branches and their debris. That all has to be cleaned out, I mean, so I'm just making a suggestion that you may wanna
And it would,
not put it exactly in the same place
Why don't you just,
Okay, why don't you,
Go look.
make it, location of these, of these, shrubs, or shrub, whatever we're calling this, a replacement shrubbery, that it be in conjunction with consultation with the agent.
Yeah, at the discretion of the agent.
I would say place them in the same place. We can take a look at it.
I think some of it might make sense elsewhere,
Sure.
or additional ones.
All right.
Okay, anything else, anybody?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll make that a motion to include that in the order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
400. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
We'll see you on the 10th.
Okay,
If I can get my engineer to move along.
Come on.
Things.
Chop, chop.
Thank you.
okay.
What? I think so.
What do we got?
The discussion of
Oh,
minor modifications
South
on
Street.
South Street.
Okay. This is, which South Street project is this?
Ian Brown? Ian Brown, the landscape guy?
Okay, that's, that he's done a lot of the work there,
Correct.
nearly completed, I would think.
Yeah, we still got an open order for, he hasn't finished the back corner. I'll go over it with you.
Okay, so I just
Why
wanted,
don't
because
why
we
don't
have
you
another
bring
one.
that forward, because then you only gave me 2 plans, so
Want me to come up there?
Let's bring it closer here.
Yeah,
if you want to share that with Al, maybe.
what sheet are you looking at there?
That is for, so this is the approved plan. I have the other one. This is the proposed. So I'm gonna go over the approved and the proposed with you, so you can see them both.
So which one,
I'm showing sheet 4.
Before I forget, they have to sign the order for Brookline too. Don't forget that.
oh, hold on. First things first.
Wish I had another easel. The guys.
Have you identify yourself for the commission?
I'm waiting for him to sign. More for the audience.
Okay, we are on TV, so yes, we need to consider the audience. Okay. So you're talking about what sheet?
4. All right. So for the record, Rob Truax, Truax Engineering Group. So this is Ian Brown's project at 272, 274 South Street. We have a current order of conditions to build this plan, which is the proposed building, 10,500, and some work in the parking lot. So about 80%, 85% of this work is complete, as you know. He hasn't done the striping, but the wall is all built, the building's in, it's occupied. He hasn't done the work out back. So if you look at this plan, everything pretty much from here forward, other than the striping, is complete. He has not redone the storage bins, so these are still sitting right here. He didn't move them back here as we proposed. So this is the limit of work. It comes down and over across the site. So this is your 200-foot riparian that was on the site. This is the 100-foot wetland buffer in yellow. So what he's proposing to do a third building now. So the third building's gonna go right here in the back where those bins were I just pointed out. So the limit of work doesn't change. This is still the limit of work that was on the other plan. The difference is that we're putting in a building where there was pavement rather than having the bins in the parking lot. So to some extent, this is actually going to be a little bit of an improvement because we're going to have the roof here and we're going to recharge the roof. We've designed a recharge system to mitigate up to the 100-year storm event for that roof area. So we're getting more recharge on the site than we were before. I went out and did some test pits over here with Carl. He met me on the site. We talked about this drainage system and just collecting the roof. So we're decreasing the drainage considerably more than what it was from the approved plan because we're providing more recharge for impervious surface that's on the site. So the building's in the 100-foot right here. And then this is the limit. The pavement will stop halfway up the building right here before it came down to the corner. And there is going to be a couple bins way over here, which is outside the 100-foot buffer. And then the dumpsters are going to go over here in the corner. This is still going to be his access road. This is all just outside storage. So the site's really not changing. He does have, this is pretty much occupied by tenants now with storage outside. There's stuff in these bins. They're being utilized. And so we still have an open order. So I guess the question is it a minor modification, major modification? Can we approve it as a minor, or do we need to do a new public hearing and amend the order? Do we amend the order if we do a new public hearing, Landis? So you don't issue a new one, right?
Say that again?
If we decide it's a major, we do a new hearing? How's the process work?
Yeah, a minor would be reflected in the as-built. A major would be an amended order of conditions, which you would have to, we would have to advertise and,
Do a new hearing?
yes.
Okay. So that's, I guess, we're asking the commission what they would prefer.
It would still be the same order, just an
Right, we
amendment.
just do a new hearing,
It would be
But it
amended.
does require a public hearing.
correct. So I guess we're asking you what your preference would be, what you think.
Landis, any comments?
I know, originally I was thinking it really was an amendment, but I've reviewed it, and so the stormwater calculations are not changing. So it's gravel now, and you're going to pave, but you're infiltrating the roof.
Well, this is actually paved back here.
This is paved.
This was all going to be paved
So,
in here. This was all pavement. These bins are all paved inside. The pavement, this was going to be a wall, and it came right to the corner. So that was all going to get paved. This was gravel.
so your stormwater calculations took into account that whole back area being
Paved.
pervious.
So when I did my original calcs, I looked at all the gravel as being impervious because it's been run over for so many years. So we looked at it that way when Kyle and I discussed it in the beginning.
And you have infiltration.
So now, I'm adding infiltration now, so I'm actually,
All that water before was good. It wasn't, isn't there,
um,
I'm trying to remember, I don't.
it was going to this drainage system for the most part, most of it. There's like a high point. Some of it was just draining off the site over here into the
That catch
gravel.
basin, the drainage was going where? Is
Some of this got to this catch basin and this recharge system.
recharge. So
Right.
that catch basin recharge, yeah, that's.
So now we're adding more recharge. So this whole roof will go into this new recharge system, and less water will go to that one. But at the end of the day, we are recharging a lot more than before, that's all. And it's easy to recharge the roof, because it's clean.
This is slab.
Hmm?
This is slab.
It's a slab. It's a mirror image, it's the same building. He's just gonna put it's the same exact plan.
I think there's a land disturbance permit to this.
It's a necessary permit too.
So it would, yeah, be amendment to the land disturbance permit. I think it really affects the wetlands permit not that much. So. It's up to you guys. I don't really have a preference either way.
Okay.
There's nobody, yeah.
That was good advice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, we would prefer it to be minor. Obviously, it's simpler if we go forward.
What's the size?
Doug, do you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Radio?
What's it gonna be used for? What is it?
He rents them out, so he's got, these are all bays with garage doors, so like contractor bays.
Oh, okay, so,
These are all rented now. This building's all rented. He has about, let's say, not quite a third, about a third is him, and the rest are rented.
okay.
And the other building, the existing building's rented out now, where he used to be.
So there'll be 8 bays, is what it
I
is?
think this is at 8,
8 or 10? 1, 2, 7? Sorry, I can't.
7 maybe?
7, yeah.
But these are 60 feet long,
Yeah, I think so. Is that what-
based on the scale.
Yeah, this is it, 60, it's the same as 60 by 175.
So various uses, like what, like,
Most of the guys are there now. There's landscapers there, there's a fence guy there, I think there's a sprinkler guy in one of the bays. So those type of things.
any floor drains or anything like that?
There'll be floor drains, they'll go into the sewer system. There'll be an oil water separator and they'll go in the sewer system.
Okay.
You're not allowed to wash trucks in there. I don't think the town allows that, Board of Health. You can't wash them inside the building. But you're gonna get drippings,
Yeah,
and they have to go somewhere.
yeah.
Like the guy before you had a tight tank, because he doesn't have the sewer.
Outside the building.
No, yeah, they don't, I don't think he's washed anything there. I mean, there's nothing, this,
And each one has the tide, like bathrooms and stuff
yes.
like that? Yeah.
Each one has a little office, little bathroom.
Okay, all right.
Yep, they're tied in the sewer system, water system, that's sprinklered. Building gets sprinkler system.
Fire protection, yeah, okay.
Yep.
That's all I have, yeah.
Al?
So it sounds to me like there could be tractors, trucks, lawnmowers that all have oil and gas,
They're all there now.
okay? And you say that there's provisions to take care of the oil and gas, it just doesn't leak onto the floor and,
Anything that goes in the floor will go in the floor drains, and that will go to the sewer system
okay?
with an oil, it has an oil water separator.
NBC,
Yeah, MDC trap.
okay. I have no other question.
Okay. What are those, what's the width of each? You got 7 and
25 feet, I believe.
25,
Yeah, it's 175 feet. That'd be 7.
7.
I did that.
I didn't even bother to.
Okay.
Just went to try it.
And before you had a whole bunch of these
Bays, the
bays
storage
for,
bays, correct.
Storing material, now you got 2.
That's it. He doesn't really use the bays that much for material. He's getting away from the plowing. So he doesn't even store any, he's not doing a lot. Right now, his bay's got machines and, like you said, tractors, things parked in them. There's equipments in them. Doesn't have any real material in it. I think one has material in it.
Okay, so he's not,
He's really not using them, he said. He was gonna do one, for the sand and salt, put a cover over it. But he's not, the last couple of years, he's thinking of getting rid of all his plows. Just because of the season, you're right, the seasons have been so bad.
yeah, it's,
Yeah.
These guys are not making the money they used to, so he's thinking of getting rid of all his plow equipment, not doing it.
well, get rid of the salt, will save him some maintenance too.
Yeah,
Okay. No one in the audience. I would say, so we need to decide whether this is a minor modification. This portion is under land disturbance, you said, as opposed to order
Well, there's a land
conditions
disturbance permit also for the site. as
with,
well. Right.
along with the order conditions.
correct.
Okay, because there was nothing more.
There's no additional resource area that's gonna be impacted.
Yeah. So, do you ever think about donating this trail to the Conservation Commission in that area?
I'll ask him. He hasn't said anything about it, it hasn't come up in conversation. What did he say the last time we were here? I don't remember.
I think it was just tossed out and was some, well.
Nothing
think about it
happened.
Someday.
Yeah, I'll ask him
No-
again.
No commitment, but if just because the trail goes here, or if nothing
Yeah, I know,
else,
and everybody uses it.
that it be, maybe,
I would think he'd be better off with an easement at this point, because if someone trips and falls,
yeah, the easement is there, that.
Then the town has
town
liability.
would have some responsibility.
yeah. I'll ask him again.
Yeah.
I'll ask him. We can
Nothing
resurface
else,
it.
just that we'd have the,
10-foot easement over the trail,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
okay,
Corner
so,
of the building, is it within the 100?
Corner is, yeah, that corner.
Okay.
That was gonna be pavement anyway, so that's why.
okay, so, do we have, anyone have a problem with, making this a minor modification in the existing plan?
Minor modifications, okay, because it'll be covered by the conditions on the existing project.
Okay, someone make that a motion to make this a minor modification?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
400.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
Rob, does it have to go back to the planning board? for
Yeah, we'll
site
go on the
plan
planning board.
review?
On the 17th, I think she has us. Yeah, it has to go.
Rob can give his blessing and invitation.
Yeah, is he away? Is he on vacation? Yeah. Yeah, he'll review it again. I'm sure he'll have comments.
So we have a couple of certificates of compliance.
okay, what do we got? We don't have any minutes to go over tonight, do
We
we?
don't, I was gonna
Okay.
try and get some done, but.
Okay.
Fire.
Brook Lane, basically, we've taken care of that with our order on the non-40B application. We don't have any, we got Brook Lane on here, but there's nothing else to do on that, is there?
Yeah, there's just Brook Lane under general business, just because it's still under request to
Yeah.
amend the SOC to DP.
There's nothing more to,
No, there's no additional
Yeah,
information on that
okay.
yet, other than the email that, was discussed earlier.
Thank you, everyone. Have a nice
Okay.
Fourth.
okay,
Okay.
we'll see, take care.
So there's a request for a certificate of compliance for Lot 2 Old North Street, DP 315-1288. This is John T. Walsh, one lot, all wetlands are on the other side of the street, and it's completed. So I'm recommending to issue the certificate of compliance with the continuing conditions.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
400. You got something for us to sign?
Oh, yes. Right. Forgot to write a special one, but hopefully I have a spare. So just gonna put, lot
This
2,
is-
Old North.
With the DEP number?
I have
Three.
it right here,
You got it.
1288.
315, 1288.
1288. Where's the second one? Then we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 255 Bullard Street. It should ring bells with some people who have been around for a while. This is a project that's been kicking around for a really long time.
Yeah, what's the name?
McChesney.
McChesney.
Yes, McChesney. So
Rings a
it was
bell, rings a bell.
It was an enforcement due to alteration of wetlands, so there's a bunch of wetlands that was restored, and then a new house built behind the old house. There was,
I remember.
yeah, so that's all done, the plaques are all done, the house is all done. Went out and did a final inspection today. So I'm recommending issuing certificate of compliance with continuing conditions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 400.
They're not there anymore, are they? Those folks, are they still there?
Yeah, he was actually
Oh, that
here.
was him.
Yeah, that's who was sitting there. I told him he didn't have to stay because it was
Oh.
gonna run so late, so.
You look familiar, just one time.
I have 2 Echo Estates and. Okay, next one is 4 Shoreview Drive. That was a pool. It was put in with some landscaping done. Sam Solomon and Bailey. That's also completed.
Bailey's house, yeah. We should deny it.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 400.
He's worked out, apparently not. Shoreview. So it should with conditions. The next is 7 Echo Way. So there's 7 Echo Way and 8 Echo Way, which are part of Echo Way Estates. This is off of Main Street. And they have been completed according to the plan. So this is 7
Okay,
Echo Way.
so make that a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
400. And we'll also vote 8 Echo Way, so make that a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
400.
And then there's the order of conditions for the subdivision and road construction with stormwater management 2 basins. That also is all set to go.
Okay, that's not on the agenda.
This is the last one.
You had 7 and 8?
7, 8, and then Echo Estates.
Oh, I don't see it.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda.
Oh, it's not on the agenda? Oh, it's in my report.
Okay,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye. Sorry? Yeah, really, huh?
Should have a stamp.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the subdivision, subdivision. Oh, Betsy's still awake. Okay, what else? We got anything else here? Appeals, nothing new. Okay, we have a board comment for Pinnacle Lot 9.
Yep.
And we had the, is that the same lot that he's filed with us?
The same lot that he's filed with us.
We have a filing for something over there on Pinnacle. Right?
Well, there was 15 Pinnacle.
Right,
This is for the whole lot,
right. That's all.
lot 9.
That is Lot 9, okay.
Yeah.
And we do have something going on that, right?
Well, he hasn't filed with
Oh.
us. What we
Oh, okay.
have is the, there's still the appeal for the historic mill complex.
Okay.
So, I had it right here, Pineapple now, I don't know where it went to. This is my modification.
Reading the one?
I was looking for the plan. For, Pinnacle. Yeah. That was submitted to the, zoning board.
What do you got down here?
I probably just wrote it front here, so. Everything, really,
This
everything.
is Union
Just
Square.
when I have everything, I think I have everything organized that you currently do. I'm not sure where it went. Located. So it's,
Yeah, nothing there. I didn't look at that. What is that?
no, it's Brooklyn. I don't understand, 'cause I had it right
Well,
in front here.
do we need it?
Well, so I mean, you can just do comments that it has to come before the Conservation Commission.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Filing will be required.
Filing is
Okay. We are anticipating a filing, however you want to word it.
You would what?
We are anticipating a filing
Yeah.
for that lot.
If you want to look at the plan, you can go on to the Walpole website, the zoning board of appeals, and it would be up there on their website. It's I can't remember how many units, so I don't want to say, but it's pretty much that whole back area.
We can't really comment, other than we expect a filing,
Okay.
until we have it and see what,
Yep.
what actually is something to
Right,
comment on,
right.
based
Okay,
on their
we can do
filing.
that.
So. Is this a comprehensive permit filing or not?
No, this is for the 40A. So he already has a 40B filing, and this is for a 40A filing.
On the same lot?
Yes.
Okay. So I thought there was something along those lines, okay. Anything else? Anybody have anything else? Okay. Are you, someone make a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Move.
All in favor? Aye. So it's 9:40.